Hi, hello and welcome from wherever you join me today. Yes, it's me again, Jim Black from the Three Hats Stage Media channel, trying to provide entertaining content media for all the world's stages. This is a Pause for Thought edition, where I review one of my favourite movies and see what messages we can take from it and how we could use those insights in today's busy lives. They all come from a book or screenplay, have a great cast and a fantastic soundtrack. As you can see from the lightbox just to my side, today's movie is no exception. It's from the year 2000 and it's Erin Brockovich. It's based on a true story and the screenplay is by Susanna Grant. She's responsible for A Gifted Man, Charlotte's Web and a great series on Netflix called Unbelievable, which I suggest you catch sometime. There's an all-star cast. You've got Julia Roberts. She plays Erin Brockovich and she's been in Mystic Pizza, Steel Magnolias, Hook, Pretty Woman and a recent review of mine, Notting Hill, if you want to catch it after this one. There's Albert Finney, he plays Ed Massery, and he's been in a couple of the Bourne movies, Big Fish, and one of my all-time favourites, Annie. Yes, it's a musical film, but it makes you smile every time you see it. There's Aaron Eckhart, he plays George, and you'll know him from Scully, Batman, and Thank You for Smoking, which is a movie recommendation that I suggest you watch. Then there's Tracy Walter, he plays Charles Embry, and he's been in many films, small parts usually, but he's one of those character actors that's just good at what he does. So I ask, is it right? Are you a David against a giant Goliath? And if you are, can somebody so small beat somebody so big? Let's get into this review and find out. In life you'll find that there's very often the small person against the big person. And I'm not talking about the size of the individual. Life teaches us that the big person, the all-powerful one, will always win because they've got more at their fingertips and can take advantage of it. So the little person never gets a shout in and is often trodden on and just kicked to one side. But you often hear of a story where somebody quite small has taken on somebody quite big and won. And it's these stories that inspire us and lead us on. It's good over evil. It's right versus wrong. It's all those sort of things. Are you that person that could take somebody on? Erin Brockovich is, although she doesn't know it at the start, because she doesn't know what she's getting herself into. But once she starts digging away and fighting for the small person against the big corporation, she finds that she's really good at it. But will she win in the end? Her life's pretty traumatic as it is. And does she really need everything that there is that goes with this? Let's get into this review as we look into the plot and follow Erin's story. Another favourite of mine, well written, well acted, a good uplifting story about good versus evil. It deals with very serious issues, but in the end, the outcome is what we all hope. It starts with a car crash with Erin involved and she needs some compensation. So she takes on a lawyer, Ed Massery, who defends her but unfortunately doesn't win. She's very upset. She's got a difficult life as it is. She's got 3 children, she's got a home that she can't really afford, and she lives from hand to mouth most of the time, which she has done all her life. She tells Ed that she needs a job. He lost the case, so he does. He gives her a job as a filing clerk in the offices of the solicitors. She accepts, humbly, not obviously, because it's Erin Brockovich after all, and she is one of those that's quite brash, quite loud-mouthed. She shouts a lot. She swears often. But you know, it's circumstances of life. She needs to be heard. She's one of those small voices against the big people. She's been bullied all her life, and this is where she's ended up. She doesn't really fit in at the firm. Some of the clothing that she wears is perhaps a little bit inappropriate. But again, like I said, it's just the type of person she is, or the type of person that she's become. We're all guilty of it sometimes. We drift into things that maybe we shouldn't. Sometimes there's no way out. But hopefully for Erin, there is going to be. On one of the days when she's filing, she comes across a box, and in that box are some medical forms. They shouldn't be in that box, but you know, people make mistakes and put things in the wrong places. And luckily for Erin and the people of Hinckley, it's a good job. She reads these papers. They've got some serious things on them about some issues with health of the residents of Hinckley. She wants to know a little bit more about it. She asks in the office, and they just tell her just to forget it. It's nothing. She convinces Ed to let her investigate it. And because of the way she is with him, you know, loudmouth, bullying even, he just gives in and says, just get on with it and see what you can find out. So she takes it on herself to go and investigate. This is where the journey begins for the people of Hinckley as well. You know, if it wasn't for Erin starting to look, then they wouldn't have ended up where they are at the end of the movie. She's got to do all this while she's trying to look after the kids, and she comes across a man called George. He's a Hell's Angel, if they sort of exist. He's a man that likes motorbikes at the end of the day and likes going out, touring with gangs of people because that's what they enjoy. He takes a shine to Erin and they sort of have a little bit of a thing. He moves in and almost becomes the full-time nanny, even though he didn't know he was. Erin carries on working and George keeps on looking after the children and doing his best. It's going to be a troubled relationship, you can tell already, just because of the things that have gone on in Erin's past, and I would imagine George's too. She finds more of the papers and starts to really get involved in the story. It's about people, it's about the medical conditions that they've got, but how have they got them? And why would there be so many people in one place, all with similar conditions? So off she goes on a long journey to find out. We find her collecting water samples from around about. We find her talking to the residents who she forms great bonds with because she's got one of these memories that can remember lots of details, like their children's names, their phone numbers, and much about them, really. As time goes on, she finds there's not just a few that she was looking at in the first place. There's all the ones that weren't reported. Many of them have got cancer issues. It can be a real serious end to their life, through no fault of their own. The local power plant, chemical factory, takes no responsibility. After all, why would they? They do everything correctly, don't they? But after much investigation, she finds out how people get their diseases. Some may have gone swimming in the local swimming baths. Some may have got it from food sources that they grow in the ground, and things like that. She talks to doctors, she talks to carers, she talks to the children, the parents, and she starts to rally support because they believe that Erin is the person that can take on the big boys. Obviously the big boys, Pacific Gas and Electric, don't want to know. They've got mighty powers, they've got a big corporate office in San Francisco, as well as all the regional offices like Hinckley. It's one of those where there's a story behind everything, and if you look deeply, you'll find that there's lots of directions that you could be taken in, because after all, they've got to cover their tracks. And big corporations are often good at that, hiding things or making things disappear. Ed starts to get a bit worried because of the way Erin is. She's possessed, she's driven, she wants results, and she'll do anything to do it. Ed, however, has to keep finding the money to fund all the things. There's hundreds of plaintiffs now. You know, those are the people that want justice. And he doesn't feel he can do it, because if he carries on at this rate, there's no money coming into the business, and the business will go bankrupt. He takes on another firm who offer him some money and help. Erin's not happy, but then she often isn't all the way through. But she is really good at what she does. She's a person that understands people, and that's what you want in your life. Somebody that can understand you and get what you need if you're the person that can't. The other law firm make it easy for them to do it. They've got one chance and one chance alone. They've got to go to court to get the final agreement, and if it's yes, it's good, and if it's no, it's not. What are they going to do? They haven't got all the evidence. This really is a good story. Like I keep saying, it's a true story, and the real Erin Brockovich says it's 98 to 99% true. We're getting towards the spoiler alarms, and I don't want to try and give too much away for the ending, but I've got to give a little bit more away. The final scenes show that Erin is out there getting the signatures that she needs, because in the law you've got to have over 600 signatures to say that they want to take it further. Any less, it'll be thrown out. So it's always important to go to court or do anything with lots of research and all the right things in place. While Erin is trying to find all the final bits of information and get things signed, she comes across a man, Charles Embry, and he is the man that can make it all work. He was asked to shred things at the plant at Pacific Gas and Electric. But did he? Or did he not? This is what the whole case ends on. And yes, it's going to be a good ending. But, I've not told you too much more about that or what the final outcome is. So if you want to watch, you need to look at it. Always remember, Davids can take on Goliaths. Find out everything you can. Go to court if you have to. But, at the end of the day, make sure that it's going to be the right outcome for you. Just because you want to take them on and win doesn't mean to say that that is the outcome that it should be. It might be stressful, it might cause you more pain than it's worth. Look around at what you've got. Endings are always new beginnings, and maybe it's sometimes best just to move on and say no more. But thanks for people like Erin, who fight for the little person in the street and make life better for all of us. The trivia in this movie is good. Erin Brockovich Ellis plays a waitress in one of the dining scenes, so she gets a part in her own movie. George, Erin's boyfriend, actually becomes a nanny for several years while Erin is working for Ed Massery, and he's actually paid on the books by the company that Ed owns. Julia Roberts won Best Actress for her portrayal of Erin Brockovich. She was the first woman to win the Oscar, the Golden Globe, the BAFTA, the Screenwriters Award and the Critics' Choice Award, all in the same year, so well done to her for that. The final bit of trivia I have for you today is that Judge Leroy A. Simmons, in real life, presided over the pleading and discovery case for Hinckley versus PG&E. For the movie, he came back out of retirement and did the same thing. So the bit you see with the judge and all the people in the courtroom actually happened in real life. What a great piece of trivia. There's some great music in this movie. You've got Thomas Newman, Chris Horvath, you've got Paul Kerr, Andy Dewar, and you've also got Sheryl Crow. I hope you've enjoyed this movie review. And if you want to know where my thoughts and inspirations come from, please click on the links in the bio below. They'll take you for a closer look. If you want to subscribe to our channel and join our community, please hit the button, only once though. And if you want to be notified when the next one comes out, strike that bell. Comments are always welcome, drop them below, and I'll get back to you as and when I can. I've been Jim Black for the Three Hats Stage Media channel for this edition of Pause for Thought. See you again soon.